Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. Look, we are right at the outset now, what we hope will be an incredible, joyous, happy 4th of July weekend. 3 days. We're fortunate this year it fell on a Friday. It's a midsummer break. It's time for family and friends and celebrate. But we also know that historically, with the 4th of July, there's a correlation with fireworks. This is a very dry season right now for us. So this is just a friendly reminder from the mayor and from our office. You're going to hear from Chief Hao here in a second, that while we want everybody to have a great time, we want you to be smart, we want you to be careful. We don't want to have any bad accidents happen or disasters, much less anybody get hurt or even die for that matter. So this is really just a friendly call out. Let's enjoy this great summertime vacation. Enjoy your families again. Be smart, be aware, and let's not do anything that harms ourselves or the place that we live. So with that, I'd like to introduce Chief Hao to talk about some specifics.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to say a few things. So I agree with the mayor, right? The intent is for all of us to have a good time and be safe. I think in recent history, what happened in Lahaina and most recently this year with fireworks, they still have the potential. Even though 4th of July is not something we see a lot of incidents, huge incidents, it is in the middle of our fire season, which starts in May and through October. So I just wanted to give you a little outlook on what 4th of July would look like. From a weather perspective, it's favorable conditions, relatively high humidity, the winds will be moderate. So from the fire behavior perspective, it's favorable. However, we at the Honolulu Fire Department understand the potential that it could reach to, so we are upstaffing, bringing 2 more tankers online, our relief tankers, and upstaffing in the west side or those critical areas. Again, like the mayor said, we all want to prevent these tragedies from happening again. So again, we want everyone to have a good time, but again, be safe and be mindful and respectful of one another. So,
anybody have any questions on anything? Okay. Yes, sir.
What's your message for people who may want to celebrate with fireworks?
Right now we only have 5 display permits that was issued around the island. I can get the details on where they exactly are, and we only actually have 22 permits that are out to the people to use firecrackers. So based off of those statistics, we should see a actual low amount, but we all know that we have the illegals floating around, and for us on our end, we'll just be prepared for it.
So we're going to increase our patrols. It's all in the name of safety. Nobody here wants to be a killjoy. We want everybody to have a great holiday weekend. But we're also, if in fact we find people doing something illegally, then we're going to enforce.
Mayor,
yes, sir.
Can you talk about the enforcement of the new fireworks bills? Is that something that HPD is going to be able to enforce?
I think to the extent that the bills have been passed and what's been law, HPD will enforce, yes. We're not going to start, carving up and creating different laws. This is just one of those things where we're asking people to use their common sense. We won't have anybody get hurt. In fact, we just saw the explosion in California, where 7 people got killed, and it was it happened to be on video if you saw it. Things like that can happen even in households, as we know. Alia Manu was a really painful lesson for all of us to witness, but the people who suffered that are going to suffer forever. So this is just a friendly call out, a reminder, be safe, enjoy, don't do anything you're not supposed to be doing.
You mentioned Alia Manu.
Yes.
Have you noticed a change in community behavior since the Alia Manu accident?
I think there's been a greater awareness. I don't know if the behavior's changed. I think hopefully, we'll find that out probably next New Year's Eve, but it's been interesting to me since we conducted town halls this year and other things when we engaged the public, how many people have referenced that. So I think it was a tremendous learning experience for us. I'm hoping that people, as a result of what we witnessed, what we saw, what we felt, that there will change behaviors and people will realize that this can be really dangerous stuff. And I want to echo again what Chief Hao said. This is a high dry season, and even though we have good climates, and even though we haven't had a lot of firework activity, maybe historically, it doesn't take very much for something to happen to create a real catastrophe. So we're asking everybody to watch out for each other. This is about Kuleana. This is about taking care of each other and being responsible. Okay? Yes.
So one of the fireworks drills that was signed would allow police officers, law enforcement to use drones. Do you know if there are any?
I haven't really checked with the police department, but if I understand it right, they will be using drone activity. Yes, they will be using some drones. They will be. Okay?
I don't know if this is supposed to be anywhere or if it's released, but do you have an idea of how many fireworks permits?
Oh, yeah. As I stated earlier, we have 5 display. We've issued 5 display fireworks around the island, and I can get the details for you and the locations. And there was only 22 firecracker permits that was issued out this year for 4th of July. So it's relatively low. I don't have that information, but recently Bill 1483 did put a limit on how many permits a single person can purchase throughout a year. So that's one of the bills that was recently signed. So I'm not sure if that contributed to possibly the low numbers.
Look, I can't stress this enough, and the reason why we asked everybody to come today. Nobody wants to be a killjoy. We want everybody to have a great 4th of July, okay? But this is about public safety. And it's really safety for yourselves and your families, as we know, because that's exactly oftentimes who gets hurt. It's the people around you if something goes wrong. So that's all. This is a word of caution. Let's have a great 4th of July weekend, hopefully with no incidents. We certainly don't want to tax our fire department. I don't want the police department having to arrest anybody. I want everybody to get through this weekend feeling really good, really joyous, and just realize that we have a lot of responsibility to make sure that happens. And so if anybody decides to deviate from that, we'll try to deal with it accordingly in the spirit of public safety.